Welcome back to Gold Fox Wealth. Let's talk money. You find out you're the poor friend on a Thursday night, under the soft amber light of a restaurant whose menu doesn't print prices. The table is Julian's reservation. His father owns 3 apartment buildings and calls them a small portfolio. Next to him is Claire, a corporate lawyer who treats a $900 handbag as a sensible buy. And across from you sits Daniel, just back from 10 days in Italy and grumbling that Lake Como was too crowded. You make $72,000 a year, a number that once felt like arriving. You pay rent on time, put 5% into your retirement account, and keep nearly $8,000 in savings. So when the server walks the table through a $240 tasting menu, your chest goes tight. The whole table nods along before the menu is even in your hands. Julian waves over 2 bottles of wine. Claire floats, splitting the bill evenly because it is simpler. You have done the math on your share before the appetizers land, and it is already more than a month of groceries. You say nothing. That is the first tax of being the poor friend, and it is not the money, it is the performance. You learn to smile when someone shrugs that it is only $300. You learn to call a 6-day trip a little out of budget, rather than admit the airfare alone would wipe out 2 months of saving. When the group starts planning a ski week in Aspen, Julian drops a link to an $18,000 chalet. Split 6 ways, he writes. It is actually a steal. You read that standing in a grocery aisle, weighing 2 boxes of pasta over an 80-cent difference. So you invent a work deadline. Claire sends back a sad face. Daniel writes, "Next time." You tell yourself you are relieved, but Saturday night their photos go up, champagne in the snow, matching goggles, a private chef at a marble counter, and what you feel is darker than being left out. It is envy laced with shame because you resent them for something they never actually promised you. The weddings are a whole other level of pain. Rich people do not just get married. They stand up a temporary country and expect everyone they love to buy a visa. Claire's wedding is in Mallorca. Rooms in the hotel block run from $620 a night. The welcome dinner calls for Mediterranean cocktail attire, and the ceremony rolls straight into a recovery brunch on a yacht. You add up flights, hotel, gifts, clothes, and the unpaid days away from work, and it lands near $4,800. Claire assures you your presence matters more than any gift, but presence turns out to be the priciest line on the list. You go regardless. Part of it goes on a credit card, and you spend 3 days among people swapping notes on venture funds, second homes, and schools with waiting lists. In every photo, you are beaming. Back home, you spend 9 months paying off those photos at 24% interest. The gap follows you into smaller rooms too. Over brunch, Daniel talks about walking away from his job to start a company since his parents will cover his rent for a year. Julian announces that failure is the best teacher, and everyone nods along. You think of your mother, still $11,000 deep on a car now worth half that. Failure is not a teacher for you. It is an eviction notice, a prescription you skip, a phone call you are scared to pick up. Your friends love risk because they have never met its hungriest version. Their advice, be bold, push harder on your salary, quit the bad job, is not wrong. It is just quietly insured by money you cannot see. Still, their world hands you keys to rooms you would never reach alone. At Julian's birthday dinner, you meet Sophia, an executive at a fast-growing logistics company. She asks what you do, and for the first time you do not downplay it. You tell her you run operations for a regional distributor, that you cut delivery errors by 18%, that you built the scheduling system your whole department now lives on. Sophia leans in and actually hears it. Then she asks why you are not running a bigger team. You nearly laugh because no one at work has ever asked you that. 2 weeks later, she invites you to interview for a role paying $118,000 plus equity. The door opened through privilege, but stepping through it is all you. You would think that settles it. It does not. The night before the final interview, you almost pull out. You tell yourself that people like Sophia hire people like Julian, the polished ones who ski without checking prices and talk about ambition without flinching. Then your phone rings, and it is Daniel. He has noticed you dodging the group, skipping dinners, showing up late and slipping out early, so you finally tell him the truth. The restaurant bills, the wedding debt, the math grinding away under every conversation. There is a long pause. Daniel admits it never once crossed his mind. His apology is clumsy, but it is real. He passes it on to the rest of them. Julian says sorry for all the even splits. Claire owns that her wedding expectations were unreasonable. Nothing flips overnight, but the next dinner is at a neighborhood spot where everyone orders for themselves, and nobody performs generosity with someone else's money. The job is yours. The first paycheck does not turn you into one of them, and you are careful not to act like it did. You clear the wedding debt, build up your emergency fund, and send your mother enough to pay off the car. Months later, the group starts planning another trip. This time, instead of vanishing behind an excuse, you just say your number out loud. $2,500, total. Julian starts to suggest somewhere cheaper, and you stop him. You do not need the whole group to rebuild its life around you. You only need the room to tell the truth. 2 of them come with you for 4 days in Mexico City. The rest go to Switzerland. Both trips go ahead. No friendship breaks. Being the poor friend teaches you that wealth gaps are not measured only in bank balances. They show up in how freely people take risks, how casually they spend their time, how easily they walk into a room, and how rarely they ever have to explain what they cannot afford. They can turn friendship into theater, an invitation into an obligation, and admiration into resentment. But the deepest cut comes from believing that having less money means you have to make yourself smaller. You do not. You can skip the restaurant, miss the destination wedding, ask for separate checks, and still belong. You can take the introduction without worshiping the person who made it. You can feel envy without letting it rot you, and ambition without pretending everyone started the race at the same line. The goal was never to get rich enough that money never comes up. The goal is to get honest enough that it stops running the conversation. Thanks for watching. Please consider hitting like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Tell us in the comments what you'd like us to unpack next. See you in the next one.